welcome to Series 3 finale of the Coffee at 11 show with Colin O'Brien. Not only that, but this is the landmark 100th episode. Roll it, guys. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome to this, the 100th episode, milestone, the 100th episode of the Coffee at 11 show, brought to you by Wigwam. I'm delighted to be here with you, and thank you for journeying with us so far. 100 episodes in just under a year. Most importantly today, I think we're very delighted to have a very special guest, indeed two special guests. This is guest 100 and 101 here today on the 100th episode. And it's Brian O'Callaghan and his young son, Padraig. Gentlemen, pop in, say hi. Cheers with a coffee mug if you have one.
Cheers, guys. Delighted to be here.
So come here, you're quite an amazing young man. And how do your friends in class, what do they think of the podcast?
They think that they're really good. Some of my friends are saying, keep on going, keep doing the hard work and everything. I said, okay, so I'll keep doing it and I will never stop doing it.
Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, Bula Bus. I think you put in one of your podcasts recently that they were having a bit of a tough time. Is that right?
Yeah. Like people are stuck in isolation. Like they can't do anything. What can you do except going out, going for a walk or something? Like what can we do?
What can we do, ladies and gentlemen? What can we do?
I say just stay at home, just maybe do the dishes, go for a walk, on the grass, do anything.
So myself and Marie had problems conceiving way back, and I say that the first thing I would say is we had problems as a couple. Often you find like the IVF route is a very, very tough, long, drawn-out process. And the first thing, and if there's anybody here, suffering is probably the wrong word, but has to deal with these kind of issues. The first thing I would say is you have to tackle these issues as a couple, as a team, as a joint unit. So I would always say we as a couple had problems conceiving. That's the first point I'd like to make on that. We went through, and I was trying to count them earlier on this morning, I think we went through seven IVF attempts over a period of maybe 7 or 8 years. Within that, we suffered everything from the ectopic pregnancy to the miscarriages. I think there was 5 miscarriages altogether. Paul was lucky number 7. And as I said, I'm not very spiritual, but there's a part of me that says that he was meant to be here from the very start. To overcome all the problems we had for this man to overcome all those problems, to be strong enough to survive all the things that were thrown at him from way back, as I say, in that petri dish up to that operation at 2 or 3 days old. And the spiritual side of me, and it's a strange one because I'm not, as I said, naturally spiritual, but it tells me that he's here for a reason. Obviously he's here for a reason. But he has so much to offer, he's so much to give, and even in the short space of time he's been on this earth, he has already given so much. Again, we're not great Irishmen at showing love, but he is really the most determined, positive, enthusiastic, infectious young man that you will ever come across in your life. And I know every parent will say that about their own. I appreciate that, I get it. But for me, and I think for Marie as well, he has brought something that I would never have thought imaginable, quite honestly.
What are you taking with you from COVID?
Do you know something, Colin? I think it's, and again, apologies if it sounds like an old cliche, but the fact that I got to spend so much time, both with Marie working from home and Padraig homeschooling, as well as the videos or whatever else, it has, I guess, refocused and reprioritized my priorities, if that makes sense. It's yes, the work is important and all this networking and all the business out there, which we now discover can all be done by Zoom anyway. So things that we thought were important, or we had to be here, we have to be there, we now realize we don't. But this whole working from home is here to stay. In whatever guise, you know, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week, we don't know that yet. But certainly for me, it has helped me refocus on what's important in life.
Good.
And that is this man and that lady there beside me on the screen. Corny, isn't it? Sorry.
John, it's beautifully corny. It's beautifully corny. This is great. Marie, I'm going to go to you for the very last question, if you don't mind. And that is, you're made aware of a friend who's actually struggling more than you knew through COVID. What would be your one piece of advice?
Oh God, that's a really tough one. Well, do you know, like I would say, and Brian will kind of bear witness to this, like I would be the type of person that if you had said to me pre-COVID, walk from the kitchen to the living room, I would have said, are you mad? That's such a distance. And I personally found very soon into COVID, as Brian was saying, in one respect it was really positive that the three of us were in the one house 24/7 and we got to spend lots of time together. But after the first couple of weeks, I was like, if I actually don't get out of this house, I'm going to go bananas. So for me, how I kind of coped, I suppose, mentally through COVID was I started walking. And I now walk about 10 or 11 kilometres every day. I put my earbuds in and I either listen to podcasts, or music, or I've actually started recently listening to Audible books. So for me, in terms of getting through COVID and minding my mental health, it's exercise and fresh air and walking. And I know people like to, you know, it's very cliched that people say that really helps, and I would have I would have poo-pooed it, I suppose, before I started doing it myself. But I find that really helps, and Brian would probably agree with me when I say if I don't do my walk now, I'm a bit of a bear with a sore head. So you know, my I suppose 2 bits of advice: get out there, get some exercise, get some headspace on your own, and do something that lifts your spirits, whether that's listening to music, listening to books, listening to podcasts. And secondly, reach out and speak to somebody if you're struggling, because there's always somebody there, whether it's a friend, a colleague, or one of the kind of support services out there. You know, there is plenty of help if you put your hand up and say you need it.